So on homework 12, we're starting out with the domain of something that has both a fraction and a radical in it. And so we have to watch the domain for both sections. And so here, for my square root, the 7 plus x has to be greater than or equal to 0. If I move my 7 over, x has to be greater than or equal to negative 7. For my fraction, the bottom of my fraction, the negative 2 plus 2x cannot equal 0. So 2x cannot equal a positive 2, so x cannot equal 1 when I divide. Since this is included here, let's do this. Negative 7, everything going this way. However, at 1, I'm going to have a hole because I can't be equal to 1. I'm going to write my intervals as two separate intervals with a union in there. The first section goes from negative 7 to 1. I am including the negative 7, but I'm not including the 1. My second interval is starting at the 1 but not including it and going to the end of my graph, which is infinity. So my interval for my domain is going to look like that. So including the negative 7, going to the 1 but not including that, and then going from 1 to infinity and not including either ends of that. So on number 2, the entire fraction is under the square root. Normally we'd say the square root has to be greater than or equal to 0, but in this case our variable's just on the bottom, and so when we do this we would say 10 plus x. Normally we would say greater than or equal to 0, but since that's in the denominator, just has to be greater than 0. Because the denominator, 10 plus x, cannot equal 0, so we know x can't equal that negative 10. So we're just going to use the greater than instead of the greater than or equal to, because the bottom of my fraction can't be equal to 0. And so I'm going to move my 10 to the other side. X is going to be greater than negative 10. I don't know why I got the calculator up there, but it came up there. And so in interval notation, I'm not including the negative 10. I can use anything greater than that, so from negative 10 to infinity would be my answer. Now here on this one, we've got that square root underneath the fraction. First of all, because of the square root, x has to be greater than or equal to 0, right? We can't have that 0 underneath our square root. We also know that 2 minus the square root of x cannot equal 0. So if I move that over, 2 cannot equal the square root of x. I move that over so it would be positive instead of negative. I'd have to square both sides. So 2 squared is 4. 4 cannot equal x. So x has to be greater than or equal to 0. Again, if I do my number line, however, at 4, I can't have the 4 under there because then I would have a 0 on the bottom of my fraction. And so my interval is going to go from 0 to 4, and then 4 to infinity. So I have to watch for both things, both the square root and the fraction, and see where I have values that are going to be undefined.